The Pacific Ocean covers 165 million square kilometers. It contains more water than all the land on Earth combined. And for most of human history, what lives inside it below 200 meters has been functionally unknown, not because no one looked, but because looking required going somewhere that kills most things that try. The warm core eddy at 8 degrees 14 minutes north, 153 degrees 22 minutes west formed 34 days before the R/V Western Flyer arrived. It formed the way all eddies form, a pinch of rotating water separating from the north equatorial countercurrent, spinning clockwise, drawing cold nutrient-rich water upward through its center, warming slightly at its surface boundary, concentrating phytoplankton at 5.3 times the ambient Central Pacific density. From the surface, it is invisible except to satellite altimeters that detect its 22 centimeter sea surface height anomaly. From below, it is an engine. It concentrates everything. The first scientific instrument to enter this eddy's water column was a Niskin bottle on a CTD rosette, lowered at 6:47 on the first morning of the cruise. The bottle at 800 meters collected 12 liters of water at 4.3 degrees Celsius and returned it to the surface. The EDNA analysis of that water, completed aboard the vessel using portable Oxford nanopore sequencing technology, produced 4 hours and 23 minutes after collection a cytochrome oxidase I sequence at 99.4% identity to Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni, the colossal squid. The largest invertebrate on Earth, confirmed only from the Southern Ocean and subantarctic waters, in every specimen record across 100 years of scientific literature, never above 35 degrees south latitude, was genetically present in water collected at 8 degrees north, 3,000 kilometers from its nearest confirmed previous record. The ROV Doc Ricketts reached 855 meters at 11:23. The ImageNX sonar resolved 2 targets simultaneously at bearing 032 degrees, range 18 and 22 meters, target strengths of -8 and -9 decibels, acoustic signatures consistent with large-bodied cephalopods in the confirmed Mesonychoteuthis size class. The ROV approached at 0.3 meters per second. At 6 meters range, the camera resolved what the sonar had indicated. A mantle width of 0.92 meters, laser confirmed, rust copper chromatophore pattern cycling at 0.3 Hz. The first confirmed visual observation of this species in the Central Pacific. Below the ROV, a sperm whale that had been foraging in this zone completed a dive to 847 meters, echolocated the same 2 colossal squid from 180 meters above at 115 decibels per click, and began her approach. The hunt that followed has been happening in this ocean for 35 million years. The whale species evolved as a specialist predator of giant cephalopods during the Oligocene. The colossal squid evolved its hooks, its beak, and its armored suckers in direct response to that predator pressure. Every scar on the whale's jaw and every hook on the squid's tentacle club is 35 million years of the same negotiation between 2 animals that have been shaping each other since before the genus Homo existed. The science of this location changed in 4 hours and 23 minutes. But the biology has not changed in 35 million years. The instruments are new. The ocean is not. And somewhere in the same water column where this confirmation was made, at a depth no instrument on this vessel had yet been sent, something was producing a sound at 164 decibels that matched no species in any database, and had been doing so since at least 1997. Science did not find the twilight zone. Science stumbled into it, realized it was larger than everything it already knew, and has been trying to catch up ever since. The first acoustic evidence of the mesopelagic deep scattering layer appeared in 1942, when U.S. Navy sonar operators reported a false seafloor reading at 300 to 450 meters depth across the entire Pacific. The Navy believed it was a geological formation. It was alive. A layer of organisms so dense it reflected sonar like solid rock. When researchers lowered nets into it, they brought back lanternfish, squid, and shrimp in quantities that defied the ocean's apparent emptiness at the surface. The deep scattering layer, the largest animal aggregation on Earth, had been there every night since before the first human walked. The modern scientific campaign to understand this zone began in earnest in 2018, when Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution launched the Ocean Twilight Zone Project, a 5-year, multi-institution effort using autonomous vehicles, trawl surveys, and acoustic mapping across the Atlantic and Pacific. The project's core finding, published in 2021 in Science Advances, the mesopelagic zone contains between 1 and 10 billion tons of biomass, and functions as the ocean's most critical carbon sequestration engine. Every organism that dies in the twilight zone sinks, carrying the carbon it consumed at the surface down to depths where it will not re-enter the atmosphere for decades or centuries. This process, the biological pump, sequesters an estimated 6 billion tons of carbon dioxide annually. The entire global aviation industry emits approximately 2.5 billion tons per year. The mesopelagic biological pump removes more than twice that, every year, silently, in absolute darkness, run entirely by organisms most people have never heard of. The warm core eddy at this location concentrates this process. Its upwelling brings cold, nutrient-rich water into the sunlit zone, driving phytoplankton growth at 5.3 times ambient density. The phytoplankton fix carbon. The zooplankton eat the phytoplankton. The mesopelagic organisms eat the zooplankton. The giant squid eat the mesopelagic organisms. The sperm whales eat the giant squid. Every link in this chain is carbon moving from the atmosphere into progressively deeper and longer-term storage. The oxygen minimum zone at 260 meters in this eddy drops from 2.8 milliliters per liter to 0.22 milliliters in just 20 meters. A boundary sharp enough to compress the entire mesopelagic biological layer into an unusually dense band. The vampire squid lives inside that oxygen minimum zone permanently. Standard vertebrate aerobic metabolism requires a minimum of 1.0 milliliters per liter of dissolved oxygen. At 0.22 milliliters, all vertebrates are dead or unconscious. The vampire squid is fully active. Photophores cycling, filaments extended, feeding. Its hemocyanin extracts oxygen from water with 40 times greater efficiency than vertebrate hemoglobin at equivalent concentrations. The OMZ is not a threat to it. It is protection. No vertebrate predator can follow it there. A person standing on a boat above this zone at 2 a.m. is standing 80 meters above the largest concentration of animal biomass on the planet. No instrument visible from the deck confirms it. No light, no sound, no surface trace. Just dark water. And somewhere in that darkness, a species of fish has evolved a private red light bioluminescent hunting system, producing light at a wavelength that water absorbs within 50 meters, invisible to every other organism in the zone, while simultaneously evolving the only deep-sea visual receptor capable of detecting it. It illuminates its prey in a color that nothing else around it can see. Science has confirmed it exists. Why it evolved that specific solution, and not the dozens of other possible ones, remains entirely unanswered. This zone has no warning signs. No maritime exclusion boundary. No international shipping notice. The coordinates 8 degrees north, 153 degrees west appear on every Pacific navigation chart as open ocean. Unrestricted, unclassified, unremarkable. The fishing fleets have worked here for 60 years. And in 60 years, the ocean below them has collected evidence that they were never truly alone. The documented record begins in October 1957, aboard the Soviet research vessel Vityaz-2. At 3:20 local time, a deep-sea trawl cable at 800 meters registered a tension spike from 2.4 tons to 14.3 tons in under 90 seconds, a force inconsistent with any known geological obstruction in this zone. Chief Scientist Dr. Lev Zenkovich logged the event as biological contact, nature undetermined. The cable held. The trawl was recovered with fragments of large cephalopod mantle tissue. No further analysis was published. The data point entered the archive and remained there for 47 years before being cross-referenced against modern cephalopod biomechanics data. What modern science confirms: a single adult Architeuthis duck supplying maximum escape thrust generates 14 to 18 kilograms of sustained pulling force. A group of 10 to 15 individuals simultaneously entangled in a trawl system generates 140 to 270 kilograms. In 2011, the monofilament longline of F/V Coral Star failed at 2:15 local during night hauling operations inside the same eddy zone. Recovered monofilament sections bore beak impression marks matching Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni. Deckhand Li Jiaming, 24 years old, went overboard during the gear loss incident. The U.S. Coast Guard flew 1,340 kilometers and searched 1,840 square kilometers of ocean surface for 6 hours. He was not found. He is one of 3 persons missing from documented incidents in this zone since 2000. The WCPFC database records 47 anomalous gear loss incidents between 2000 and 2025. 18 show pre-failure cable tension signatures consistent with large biological contact. 3 involved missing crew members. None were recovered. The physics of this water column are absolute. Below 50 meters, a human body becomes negatively buoyant. At 780 meters, Pressure compresses any surface air-filled volume to 11% of its original size. A human lung holds 6 liters at the surface. At 780 meters, that volume is 76 milliliters. Thoracic squeeze is fatal in under 8 seconds. The ocean does not intend this. It is simply what 80.9 atmospheres does to air-filled space. The precision is total and permanent. What the ROV recovered from this zone across 3 days of diving includes a Scripps Institution pressure canister imploded at 740 meters, a sperm whale tooth with 18 to 40 years of mineral deposition at 600 meters bearing beak contact scratches, and a giant squid lower beak of 7.2 centimeters entangled in unidentified net mesh at 400 meters, dead within the past 12 weeks. The Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission database, which recorded all 47 gear loss incidents, has never received a single submission requiring biological identification of the contact species. The form for that submission does not exist. There is no field in the incident report for probable Mesonychoteuthis. There never has been because until 72 hours ago, no one confirmed that Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni was in this ocean at all. Science does not always find what it is looking for. In this zone, in 48 hours, it found 4 things no one was looking for at all. The first began with a magnetometer. At 780 meters, the ROV's navigation instrument registered a 340 nanotesla deviation from the International Geomagnetic Reference Field, spatially coincident with a sonar-confirmed aggregation of 8 to 12 large cephalopods at 22 meters range. Architeuthis ducks staticists carry confirmed magnetite crystals, 50 to 100 nanometers in diameter, used for geomagnetic navigation in the absolute dark. A dense aggregation of large individuals produces a measurable magnetic signature. The cephalopods at 780 meters were creating their own local magnetic field deviation, navigating by the planet's magnetic field while simultaneously distorting it. The second anomaly came from 680 meters. Elevated helium-3, a tracer produced exclusively by submarine volcanic activity, confirmed hydrothermal fluid input warming the water column by 2.1 degrees Celsius above ambient. This anomaly was first recorded in the GeoSec survey program in 1973. It has been in the public database for 52 years. Its biological consequence, displacing bathypelagic species upward by 100 to 150 meters, delivering hydrothermal iron to the upwelling system that feeds the entire mesopelagic food chain, was not connected to biological data until this dive. The volcanic system beneath this ocean, 700 meters below the colossal squid, is one of the mechanisms that put the colossal squid here. The third anomaly came from 400 meters in total darkness. During a 90-second passive observation with all lights off, the low-light camera recorded 847 bioluminescent events. 66 matched no species in the MBARI database. 22 displayed an identical pattern, 3 pulses at 0.8-second intervals. In the afternoon repeat session, 14 further matching events were recorded, 9 of them clustered within 4 meters, moving in formation. Coordinated bioluminescence signaling between spatially separated organisms in formation is not random individual behavior. It is communication. The species producing it has no name. The fourth anomaly arrived at 3:14 on the second night, an 11-second biological acoustic event at 164 decibels, peak energy at 42 Hz, louder than any confirmed invertebrate acoustic source in the peer-reviewed literature. Produced again on the second night, same bearing, same frequency. And when the acoustic record from the NOAA archive was cross-referenced, the same frequency, the same zone, recorded by the U.S. Navy SOSUS hydrophone network on September 14, 1997, 28 years earlier, logged, filed, and never investigated. 28 years of the same sound from the same ocean, and the first time anyone followed it to its source, the instruments found it attached to an organism that has spent nearly 3 decades in a zone that every oceanographic chart in existence marks as empty water. "95% of the ocean floor remains unmapped at high resolution. The water column above it is less understood still. What that number means, standing above this specific patch of Pacific at the end of 4 days, is this. If everything discovered here in 96 hours represents 5% of what exists in this zone, the remaining 95% contains 19 times more. On the third night, at 22:47 local time, at 800 meters depth, a Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni with a confirmed eye diameter of 38 centimeters and a lower beak of 15.8 centimeters, beyond every confirmed specimen in 100 years of literature, approached the Mesobot AUV to 12 meters, called at 171 decibels at point-blank range, held position for 5 minutes in direct optical contact with the camera, and departed at 0.6 meters per second toward bearing 215 degrees, toward 3,200 meters depth. No ROV aboard this vessel or currently deployed anywhere in the Pacific can follow it there today. Before that encounter, an unidentified organism acoustically present since at least September 14, 1997, logged in the declassified SOSUS archive as BZ Pacific 97-09-14, produced a 47-second continuous call at 164 decibels and 42 Hz. The longest biological acoustic event in this frequency range in the Central Pacific NOAA database. Its species is unknown. Its size is unknown. It has called in this zone for at least 28 years. In those 28 years, no research vessel targeted this location to investigate it. The record was archived, cross-referenced against nothing, and filed. At 400 to 600 meters, an unclassified bioluminescent species documented on 3 consecutive nights traveling in synchronized formation produced a 3-pulse signal at 0.8-second intervals that matched nothing in any existing database. A formal undescribed species notification has been submitted to the Mbari Taxonomy Committee. The species has no name. Science has footage of it at 1.8 meters range. And it is not alone. It travels with others in formation, coordinating movement in the absolute dark using a communication system that no published paper has ever described. At 3,200 meters, the sonar anomaly at -18 decibels is still there. Permanent. Active. Moving. The destination bearing of the 38-centimeter eye organism on the night it departed. The ROV cannot reach it. The nearest deep-rated vehicle capable of 3,200 meters is weeks of scheduling away. What produces a biological sonar return at that depth in this zone is a question without a candidate answer in any current database anywhere on Earth. The organism at 3,200 meters has been there longer than any instrument has been pointed at it. It does not know it is unnamed. It does not know that the 14.2 centimeter beak it closes 3,200 meters below the surface exceeds every confirmed measurement in cephalopod science. It is simply doing what it has done since the Oligocene, in the dark, at pressure that crushes steel, at a temperature barely above freezing, and the most extraordinary detail is not what it is, but what else is down there with it that produced a synchronized bioluminescent signal no scientist has ever seen, in a language that has been spoken in this ocean since long before any human language existed. The record individual, 3.94 meter mantle, 41 centimeter eyes, estimated 780 to 920 kilograms, held its position 6 meters from the ROV Jason 2 camera for 3 minutes and 12 seconds at 3,200 meters depth before backing away to the edge of the spotlight and watching in silence from the dark. It has been in this ocean for at least 28 years. It was never in any scientific database. Not because it was hiding. Because no instrument calibrated to find it had ever been sent here. That is the precise problem this entire record documents. Not the absence of life, but the absence of instruments pointed at the right depth, at the right frequency, with the right patience. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone, 4.5 million square kilometers of Central Pacific seafloor under active ISA exploration license, overlies a water column structurally identical to the one documented here. Its mesopelagic zone carries confirmed Architeuthis edna. Its deep scattering layer processes carbon at the same rate. Deep-sea mining sediment plumes rise to 200 to 400 meters depth, the DSL's core operational range, and reduce the feeding efficiency of organisms whose aggregate biological pump function cannot be replaced by any human technology at any current or projected cost. The carbon sequestration value of the mesopelagic pump exceeds, by every current economic model, the projected value of all polymetallic nodule extraction across the entire CCZ. The nodules represent an estimated $8 to $16 trillion in recoverable metals. The biological pump processes carbon worth $30 to $90 trillion annually across the global ocean. You cannot damage the mechanism that processes $30 to $90 trillion each year to extract $8 to $16 trillion once. The mathematics are not debatable. The policy has not yet caught up to the mathematics. The IPCC AR6 projections for 2100 under moderate emissions confirm the colossal squid's confirmed thermal envelope compressing as deep water warms from below and the thermocline deepens from above. The hydrothermal iron from the musician's Seamounts volcanic system remains constant. Geology does not respond to emission schedules. But the biological system built on that iron is being changed faster than the evolutionary timescale on which these species were designed to adapt. The acoustic buoy left at the site continues recording. 1 year after the original cruise, the 42 Hz organism was detected on 89 days out of 365, moving through an 800-kilometer north-south corridor in the hydrothermal influence zone, tracking the iron gradient, returning to this specific coordinate more than 1 day in 4. The sonar anomaly at 3,200 meters remains at minus 18 decibels. Permanent, active, unsampled. The unclassified bioluminescent species at 400 to 600 meters is still producing its 3-pulse signal in the dark. The Mesonychoteuthis aggregation confirmed at 3,200 meters. 6 individuals, synchronized chromatophore behavior, group communication in a species described in every published paper as solitary, is either still there, or has dispersed into the surrounding Pacific, carrying with it the evidence that everything science thought it knew about the behavioral ceiling of invertebrate intelligence was based on observations made at the surface, on dead animals, recovered by nets, in a sample that systematically excluded every individual large enough and intelligent enough to avoid them. The largest ones were never caught. The database was never the species. It was only the ones that didn't get away.